Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. We continue the dialogue on the Islamic way of life. Now, if you did not see the conversation we had with Imam Drayton, please check it out on TTT Live Online's digital platforms. We are blessed to have an elected member of the Women's Council at the Islamic Resource Society, Zainab Abdullah, join us to discuss women in the faith. Welcome, Ms. Zainab. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm good. I'm great.
All right, and
I'm,
even
I'm
before we
happy to
get,
be here with you.
the pleasure is ours, but even before we get into the significance of Ramadan for you, what is the Islamic Resource Society? Give us a little idea about that, thanks.
Okay, so the Islamic Resource Society is a NGO, of course, based on 24 Queen Street, Port of Spain. We've been in existence more than 20 years now, um, providing a service for that community in the realm of social work and just being a support system for that community that is in greatly in need of that kind of support.
All right,
If you're
thank you
at
for that.
all familiar with the area, yes.
Hmm. And thank you for the explanation, the overview, and thank you for the work that you're doing. You said 20 plus years, that's nothing to sneeze at. But
Yes.
when we say Ramadan, what is the significance of Ramadan for you personally?
Oh, for me personally, Ramadan is just the most exciting time of the year. And a lot of people uh, would wonder why is it so exciting for us. And for me personally, it's just it feels like a renewal, a time for uh, my faith to be renewed. It feels like a time for brotherhood and sisterhood. We get together, we are able to see each other a little more than usual, and just that second chance. It feels like a time for a second chance, a time, when we see people making New Year's resolutions. Um, for us, it's like we get that second chance to make a resolution to do something different, and it's just that landmark for me. It's exciting.
And you saying that, it's resonating with me to the point that my pores are raising, and I can imagine it's even a
Yeah,
little more intense this time around in 2022, after there's been that break
definitely,
in physical
definitely.
fellowship for 2 years.
Definitely, it is something that we've been looking forward to. I mean, we still have to take our precautions, but it is wonderful to be around each other again in the way that we can be. It's been a while since we've been even able to celebrate Eid together. And I know that my children, for one, they are looking forward to it. They're excited for it, and they want to just go all out and enjoy this time.
And a little further than your personal experience, what are some of the things that you're hearing with regard to Ramadan in the wider faith?
So for us here in Trinidad and all around the world, Muslims are very, very, very excited around this time. And people say, why are you excited to not eat or not have something to drink during the day? Because we fast a little bit differently from those who fast during Lent and that kind of thing. So we actually fast uh, from before sunup to sundown, and it means no food, no drink at all. But more than um, abstaining from food, it's just a time for self reflection. And I know now, because of the fact that our masjids are open up, um, we have people enjoying the fact that they can come to the masjid and have our night prayer, which is unique to Ramadan. So only in the month of Ramadan you would have that very specific night prayer, and you know, just having the ability to do that with each other is a blessing. As well, more than anything, you ask any Muslim, the last 10 days of Ramadan is the absolute most important time, and it's because Allah has said in Quran that in that last 10 nights, there's a night that is better than 1,000 months. And if we seek it and we are caught doing good deeds on that night, we will be rewarded as if we had done that deed for 1,000 months. So it's a promise of something really, really extraordinary, and this is what we look forward to.
And looking forward, and that is really something to appreciate and say and to
Yeah.
share and have that community and say, okay, well, this is something that as an entire community we're looking forward to. And I'm hearing that excitement as you're relaying it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's some misunderstandings, as we all are human. But what are some of those
Yes.
misconceptions, I think, and specifically with regard to women in the faith?
Right. So there are many. Of course, you know that from the time some of us see a Muslim woman, we think an oppressed woman, a woman who's told what to wear or how to behave. But it's really a misconception, because when we wear our clothes as Muslim women, it feels as we feel as though we are carrying the flag of Islam. And I tell my daughters this all the time. Our men don't wear hijab and they can blend into society, and no one knows that they're Muslim. But when we as the Muslim woman wear our clothing, we stand out. So we are essentially the flag bearers of our religion. So a lot of people think, why so much clothes? Aren't you feeling hot? And we feel honored to be modest and feel honored to cherish our bodies in a way that is not readily accepted today. It's like I tell my girls, when you put a phone case on a new phone, it's because you want to preserve it and you want to keep its value.
And it's interesting. And two things, 2 points you really say, because yes, I can really see in terms of the standard bearers, the flag bearers, by your
Yes.
dress. So not blending in, especially since we see beards trending in a little more at this point in time.
Yes.
But also those conversations that you have with your girls. I'm not sure if you have boys, but how do you, if you do, or interacting with young men, what are some of those conversations like in terms of saying, okay, well, these are the things that we're looking at. These are the things that we're putting focus on.
So I am a teacher by profession, so I do have boys, and I think it's always a little more difficult for our boys to find their identity and their sense of belonging. I mean, because when we dress, we are we are Muslim by dress, and they have to find more ways to fit in as Muslims. But um, I even have my daughters. One of my daughters would say, why don't we call the adhan, for example, the call to prayer? And I tell them, just as there are things that our women don't do, there are things that our men can't do or they don't do as well. And it's an absolute honor to have those things given to women. 1400 years ago, women were given that right to own their own property when the Western world did not allow women to own their own property or have that kind of business. They were not allowed to inherit. So Islam is the first religion that says a woman, what belongs to a woman belongs to a woman. And there's no way that a man can stake his claims to it. And and we need to, and I always tell them, we need to know that there are things that are for men and there are things that are for women. And even though Islam does not prohibit a woman from venturing into different realms, know that we have benefits as well. Because I mean, I think women tend to believe the narrative that is out there, that that there are things that are taken away from us in Islam, and that's not the case.
And I'm enjoying this conversation with you so much. Now we're going to have a big half and a smaller half. So we take a short break. We return to the conversation
No problem.
with Ms. Zainab Abdullah. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are continuing the discussion with Zainab Abdullah. And just before we took that break, Ms. Abdullah, you were talking about venturing into different realms. And that makes me want to ask about some of the challenges that are experienced by women of the faith, because, like you said, it's not as though you can blend in the way that the men can. So what are some of those challenges that present themselves?
So even today in our forward-thinking country, we have women who are told that they can't fill some positions work-wise because of the hijab. And, it upsets me because we know that the hijab does not keep you from being able to think and perform just as well as someone who is not wearing a hijab. So that has always been a challenge. Those people who feel because we are Muslim women, we are inferior in the way that we can perform our duties.
And one of the things that we would have seen recently, I think it was just a year ago, the first female hijabi in the fire service. So we're seeing that, yes, things are happening. How does that resonate with you? What are your thoughts in terms of saying, okay, well, there's still some of these challenges, but movement is taking place, even though it might not be as quickly as you might want it to be?
So like you would not know that. I don't know. People think that all Muslims know every Muslim, but I do not know the sister. I think it's St. Catherine Pompey, who was the first fire officer that entered our fire service. I am very, very proud of her. And I would tell you, I belong to a women's group. And when that took place, you just saw those messages coming through, and we were so happy for her because she wasn't just the first fire officer, female fire officer wearing hijab, but she was also the top female officer for that year. And we celebrate that kind of achievement. More than that, even going back to 2018, we had Sharon Roop, who she was allowed by the court. The court allowed her the facility to wear the hijab, and she was actually an SRP. Now, what was disheartening was that she needed to take that before the court, before a ruling could have been made on that. And we feel as though, why does something like this have to go before the court? We need to have people sitting down and designing uniforms for our Muslim women, just as they would design a uniform that fits someone else. We have the right to that place as well. We are just as capable, and I commend the fire service because I did look at your interview on that, and I commend that the fire service because they made tremendous effort. And I think it was Chief Officer Marlon Smith who headed that even just revising the uniform so that it fit her. It was wonderful to see. I must say it was really, really nice to know.
And even the fact that you use the word allow says a lot in terms of to be able to wear the hijab. But in terms of bringing that understanding a little more broad-based, so the way that you said that you don't know the officer personally, but messages were flying back and forth, and you all felt
Yeah.
that joy when this took place. How can members within the faith and even the wider society source a little more information about the way of life so that we come to a full understanding of each other?
So even though I work with the Islamic Resource Society, I also work with other organizations. Um, so at you can walk in to the Islamic Resource Society and just ask for any information, and you would have somebody willing to give you that information. We have a Facebook page as well. I actually work with a social work based organization called ILSCA, Islamic Ladies Social and Cultural Association. One of our longest standing members is Zulaiha Hassan Ali. You may know that name. She was our first lady. And our organization has a website. So if you are interested in finding out about those social aspects that we um, we lend our services to, you can check the website as well. If you want to go further out, I also work with the Caribbean Muslim Network, and that organization is responsible for tying together our Muslim brothers and sisters across the Caribbean and its diaspora. So you can contact us there as well, at the caribbeanmuslim.net, and you can get contact information for us there, and you get almost immediate response.
CaribbeanMuslim.net. All right, so we definitely will be checking that out.
Yes.
But in the time that we have, because I think we have like a minute and a half, message
Mhm.
to women specifically in the faith during this month of Ramadan as we get down to these days, these final days that have you even more excited?
So I am going to send my message to those women who cannot fast, because there are certain categories of women that cannot fast because they may be pregnant or breastfeeding. Um, I want to send a message and say there's so many other things that we can do to experience the joy of Ramadan. We can give charity, and we can recite Quran, and there's so many other things that we can look forward to. And I want you all to know that every aspect of what you do is rewarded. So even if you cannot take part in the fast, be sure to find other things to do.
And with that, Zainab Abdullah, we want to thank you so much, member of the Women's Council at the Islamic Resource Center, educator, and so much more, for sharing this time with us and just making us want to find a little more, find out a little more. So thank you and all the best to you. And on behalf of our entire news team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth. Thank you for joining us.